People of a great state with great minds rise to the fact that all these are possible and many more. Hold fast the confession of our hope that without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. I am an Akwa Ibomite, and I rise to the faith of greatness. Medakanda.
Akwa Ibom, Dakada.
Behold, a new Akwa Ibom state, realizing the dreams of Akwa Ibom State's founding fathers in Governor Udo Emmanuel's administration. It is the dream of peace that gives rise to prosperity. Today, that peace has brought about new industries and other investments. It's only this refreshing wind of peace that offers a safe flight for our Ibom Air that brings in tourists and investors as passengers. Welcome to a safe and secure Akwa Ibom State. Come, live and do business with us. Governor Udo Emmanuel has doled out peace and prosperity.
I'm not for Uyo, you should come with me. I'm missing the love at home. I'm missing the love at home. I'm missing the love at home. I'm missing the love at home.
This message is from the Office of the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Akwa Ibom State.
Only God. Yeah, it's me time.
It's good to have you back on the show. Gentlemen, get close to your radio sets. It's high time we begin to analyze Akwa Ibom State budget and see critically why His Excellency has decided to present the 2020 budget to the entire people of Akwa Ibom State about now. And the federal government also did the same thing. And there was been a whole lot of complaint that federal government budget, of course, compared to what we had last year, which of course, when looking at the performance of that budget within the 4 or 5 months, a critical look has been that the performance was low, below average. Let's also come to Akwa Ibom State before we go to the federal government. Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Economic Development and Ibom Seaport. This is one ministry that is very important to the heart of His Excellency. This is one ministry that the entire Akwa Ibom people are waiting for, especially when it has to do with Ibom Seaport, which will provide job opportunity to the entire citizen, especially those who will want to move into that sector. Yes, Honorable Commissioner Akan Okon, it's good to have you on the show this morning.
Yes, Sam.
Looking handsome, always.
I'm very happy to be here once again.
It's good to have you. Let's start this there. 2019 budget. About 600 and something billion.
672 billion.
672 billion.
Yes.
And people are saying, why the retrogression of 500 and something billion at a time that government is driving seriously on industrialization? Because remember last year Cross River State had about 1 trillion or 3 trillion naira budget. I mean, why is His Excellency going down this time? Is there any problem?
Well, Sam, I think over here we are always looking at the expenditure side of the budget without taking into consideration what is the revenue profile. I want to thank His Excellency for the budget that he has presented to the House of Assembly, which is in the sum of 597 billion. That's a reduction of about 75 billion from last year's budget. The issue of over-bloated budget size, I think for any government, any economy is not good. And I want to tell you that there are incentives that accrues to a particular government when you are able to have a budget that when you compare your proposal against actual performance, then the deviation is not more than 25%. As a state government, we are entitled to receive about $1 million. That's a sum of money that could be used to invest in any aspect of the state economy. So if you know that the revenue profile of the government cannot exceed a particular amount, so why do you go for an over-bloated budget size by the time you compare your performance against the proposal? Then the figures will be negative. So I think we're in the right direction. His Excellency is doing the right thing by ensuring that we try to cut the budget in such a way that it is a budget that is realistic, instead of just having just a large budget. You said one other state sometime last year, they proposed a budget of 1 point something trillion when their revenue profile cannot even carry up to 250 billion. So I think budgeting is a serious business, and it should be outsourced.
Well, if you just join us, I'm playing host to Honorable Akan Okon, Honorable Commissioner of Economic Development and Ibom Seaport. Let's look at something very important here. Some are saying 597 billion. When looking at the entire population of Akwa Ibom State is about 6 million. And if you want to divide that by that amount, it goes to show that maybe an average Akwa Ibom person will be going home with 120,000 a year. And may not really take care of whatever. Even though you've explained this, an average Akwa Ibom person want to see so much amount in education, so much amount in health, so much amount in infrastructure. Explain to us, how does budget work? And in comparison with the last budget, 2019, because the state government is yet to tell us the level of performance of the last budget, so that we can now compare and contrast and analyze and see if this budget will do us good in 2020.
And Sam, this 2020 proposal was prepared bearing in mind the citizens' budget approach,
okay,
which is a bottom-up. That is a need-based budget, and every establishment, ministry, we ask to find out what are the actual needs of Akwa Ibom people in the various ministries, and the budget was derived from that. And I want to say that in terms of allocation to the various sectors, the budget, mind you, is a budget of industrialization for poverty alleviation too. And you can see in terms of allocation, the economic sector has a large chunk of the budget size. And His Excellency's approach is to ensure that those activities and programs that will lead to an improvement in the well-being and the living standard of our people is carried on, so that employment will be created, and not just creating employment. To create employment, another thing is that that employment should be sustained. So in the various sectors that you've mentioned, infrastructure, education, health, agriculture, because mind you, His Excellency will say that, and that's the truth, a leader should be interested in the food security for his people. And that's why you can see in this year's budget, agriculture is given a priority. And there have been some successes recorded in this state since the advent of this administration under His Excellency Governor Dom Emmanuel. Today, you know how much a cup of gari is going for. Compare it to what happened. A deliberate effort is being made to ensure that our people go back to farming, because we should be able to cultivate and produce what we eat in the state. And I'm very happy with the response of our Akwa Ibom people. Now our people are into farming, cucumber, tomato, cassava, and the rest of them. And I think that's the way to go. So I want to say that the various sectors of the state economy has been made, adequate provision has been made in this year's budget.
Honorable Commissioner, people are saying that 12 billion in agriculture is not really enough. I mean, some are saying if you're putting about 200 and something billion for economic development, and you have maybe 115 billion for infrastructural development, I mean food. The common thing about life and its existence has to do with food, shelter, and so on and so forth. Is it that 12 billion is not too small for, considering the kind of concern His Excellency has for agriculture?
You've said that provision has been made in terms of infrastructure. The sum of 12 billion that is made for agriculture is in terms of the soft items there.
Okay.
For example, issue of providing tractors and other farm equipment. It will not. It's under the infrastructure provision. So I want to say that the 12 billion that is provided for this year's budget, Akwa Ibom is not 2020 is not the last time. Is development either in agriculture in the state or in the state is not a destination. It's a process. So I believe that this amount that is provided, if judiciary use, is going to impact positively in that area. And then in 2021, another provision will be made. And this is how we are going to progress until we get to a situation that we are all self-sufficient in terms of the things that we consume in our state that is produced locally.
Honorable Commissioner, His Excellency met Gary at 12,000, 13,000. I was surprised. A few days ago, Ferrep Gary now goes for 4,000, 50 kg back. I mean, if we channel this money directly to agriculture, to meet the people, not the middle class taking the money, the real farmers. Because biggest problem has always been, I remember in 2013, farmers were trained, 500 million or 500,000 each given. I remember some going to buy keke with it, some going to buy a Tokumbo vehicle with it. How are you going to channel this money to get to the real farmers? Because 2020, like His Excellency said, is budget of industrialization and poverty eradication. How do we now get the real farmers? Let's focus on agriculture. How do you intend to get the real farmers so that in our language, Awidara Ibn Akbo farmer goes on?
Sam, I'm very happy for this question. If you find out in our Akwa Ibom state today, the farmers are very organized. They form themselves into a farmers a cooperative and association, and that has made it very, very easy and convenient for administration. And whatever is the government plan for farmers in the state to get to the farmers and to the people who are the real farmers. So I think with what is on ground now, that is going to be much easier to ensure that whatever is made for the farmers gets to the farmers. For example, you know that upon assumption of office, His Excellency he has been given the improved cassava stem to the farmers, improve maize
Seedling.
So I think with the way the farmers are organized now in the state and what the Ministry of Agriculture is doing, I think we are in the right direction, and that going forward you will not hear all those issues that things that are made for the farmers and farmers doesn't get to them.
Okay, we just joined us. We are meeting the man who left the aviation ministry with himself. Today we've not heard about that ministry anymore, but something is going on. Before we go on with the budget, let me quickly congratulate you. I heard that congratulate His Excellency. I've heard that Ibom Air is they are promoting Lagos Abuja route.
They're not just promoting. They commence operation on the 25th of September, and I can tell you the patronage is very encouraging.
But it's like government is not really talking much on this.
No, what is the? You know,
does it boil down to the fact that His Excellency said he doesn't blow trumpets, he doesn't need applause?
Let the people be the one that last week when I was traveling from Abuja to Lagos, and I think when we arrived Lagos, when we came down, I think Obonwata was on the flight, and the wife of former military governor Ogbeha was on the flight, and the testimonial, in fact, at the tarmac day, she brought out her phone and called the husband and said, Akwa Ibom, your state, you won't fly any other airline again. No? That I just flew Ibom Air, that I'm very happy with the services, the aircraft is new, and that it is an airline to patronize now.
Yes, thank you. Airline to patronize now. Honorable Akan Okon, let's get to your sector, which is very critical, economic development. And this is one area that housed Ibom Deep Seaport. I remember when I listened to you on radio saying that things are in gear for Ibom Deep Seaport to see the light of the day. A lot of people have been talking about Ibom Deep Seaport issue as being political. They also say that perhaps we do not play a proper national politics, and that's why perhaps the other side of the people are yet to give credence to Ibom Deep Seaport agitation. If you were to educate the Akwa Ibom people, what is the problem? Is it that nothing was done, or is it that it's only when His Excellency, because Obamata spoke about Ibom Deep Seaport, Senator Kwabio talked about Ibom Deep Seaport, he's been talking, yet it is only in this government that we heard certificate or bidding and so on has commenced. Tell us, what's the true situation, sir?
Well, Sam, I want to thank you for this question, because in the last 1 week there have been a lot of insinuations about Ibom Deep Seaport, even another port that a neighboring state is about establishing. What I want to say is that His Excellency Governor Dome Emmanuel is very passionate and is determined to ensure that Ibom Deep Seaport comes alive in the life of this administration. And to this end, upon assumption of office, he put in place a technical committee for the realization of this project, headed by a seasoned maritime expert, Mrs. Mfono Soro, and some other expert in that field from the state. And I'm happy to tell you, if you look at the checklist of the things required to be done, I think we have about 27 things to tick out. I'm happy to tell you that we've done 25 of it, and only 2 steps left, which is the presentation of the full business case to the Federal Executive Council. And after that, that will be the award of the concession. We have met significant milestones. And these would not have been possible if we did not have the cooperation of all the federal government agencies involved in port development. And mind you, port development is in the exclusive list. If it was just something that the state government has the power alone to do. For example, we did not need federal government approval to do a 21-story building. Today, you can see it's almost completed.
Yes.
So I want to say that port construction, developing a deep sea port, it's not just like going up there, you want to build a bungalow, you want to build there are a lot of stages that are involved, there are a lot of processes. And I'm happy to tell you that with the work this committee has done and with the support of His Excellency, that we are almost there. And that this port is going to come alive. And that if you listen to what I'm told the neighboring state were celebrating, all what they got is what is called OBC, that is outline business case. It's like you telling me, oh, I want to build a 21-story building. I say, okay, I've approved for you to build. You need to bring the drawings, you need to do soil tests, you need to appoint consultant. None of these things are okay. If you read what even was coming from those places,
Yes.
Now that they have the OBC, they will now go and ascertain where the location is. They will now start to know what and what could be done. But our people just assume, oh, they are faster than what. I mean, in the first place, there are a lot of issues. You need to prove where this port will be. But we know it's not something for me to start talking about. But I want to tell
Honorable
you that
Commissioner, we have
Deep Seaport
yes,
is on course and it will come alive under this administration.
we have the longest coastal line, if I'm not mistaken. And by my understanding, if the federal government is sincere in providing job within 10 years period to about 100 Nigerians, don't you think, aside being an exclusive venture, Don't you think this should be even an invitation to federal government to participate and partner with the states?
Well, you know the way our country is structured. But what I want to tell you is that given the level of support that we have received, that we are still a developing country, and the things that happen is what happens in a society of that nature. But I want to say that given what they have done and the support that we have received so far, that I think it's a project that they are also interested because they know the employment potential of this project. The project is capable of giving over 1 million people employment. And apart from that, the deep seaport is not just coming alone. There's an industrial city attached to it that is also going to be an employment spinner for our people. So I just want our people to be rest assured that just like Ibom Air, when the idea was conceptualized, people didn't believe in it. A lot of names were called. That is a scam. But today, we don't like to make noise. I believe that when the time to make noise comes, we will do it. But for now, it is time to continue to push and do all what is required to make sure that that project is realized.
Okay. Honorable Commissioner, rural development in the budget. We also have complained. When I put on the social media that you're going to be on radio, people were like, why is the rural budget, rural development, which is the cradle of some sort of developmental civilization, of course, which that is where the people, the real poor are, and why is it that somehow drop in the ocean? Because these days, Honorable Commissioner, I must be frank with you, difficult to see local government chairman grading roads, except very few. Difficult to see local government partnering with the state government to do a lot of rural development. How do you intend to educate us in this one?
The issue of rural development. The entire budget. You mentioned agriculture. The investment in agriculture is not going to be done in Uyo. It's going to be done in our rural communities. So I can tell you the entire budget, the focus of it, which I said is on employment generation, which will involve establishment of farm settlement and the rest of them, is going to be in the rural community. But that provision that is made, that as I speak to you, there are certain interventions that the Ministry of Rural Development normally do in terms of grading. But that aside, the infrastructural program and other things that is provided for in the budget will be carried out in this location. So I don't think that should be a thing of worry, because at the end of the day, just like I've told you, if you take, for example, agriculture, you're not going to do the farming, it's going to be done in our rural communities, and they are going to be the one that will benefit from all this.
Okay, if you just join us, this is Akwa Ibom Mandate, and of course we have on our hot seat the Honorable Commissioner of Economic Development and Ibom Deep Seaport. You've listened to him talked about it. For those of you who are watching us outside Nigeria, it is expedient for you to equally contribute, and let's see how we can move Akwa Ibom State forward. His Excellency, on assumption of his second term, when he was sworn into office, said we should come build Akwa Ibom together, irrespective of our political party. He has also extended his hand of fellowship to the federal government to do the needful. Well, today the state government depends. 36 states of the federation depends on the federal government. And of course, Governor Dom Emmanuel has stamped his feet that very soon internally generated revenue in Akwa Ibom State is definitely going to uplift the economic fortunes of Akwa Ibom. Honorable Commissioner, let's look at the statistics. Internally generated revenue. I know for now we have 16 functional industries in Akwa Ibom State, and by way of report and statistics, there's a great improvement in terms of internally generated revenue? When are we going to be on our tripod in terms of economy? That is, give us hope. Give us hope that by the year 2020 or 2022-23, I mean, what we're going to get in Akwa Ibom State will be an envy to all the states and even the federal government.
Yeah, Sam, thank you very much. I want to say that in terms of IGR for the state, that there are a lot of potentials. And I'm happy to tell you that we have in place a committee which is made up of the Minister of Economic Development chairing it. You have the Minister of Finance, you have the Accountant General, the Chairman, Internal Revenue Service, Minister of Petroleum, and we have a responsibility of ensuring that whatever has been out of the tax net of the state is brought in so that we can improve the revenue for the state. But I'm happy to tell you that we've made significant discovery, and that by the time that we bring out the blueprint that we have that is geared towards improving our revenue, that just like you have said, that we are going to be counted among the very few states that are maximizing their revenue potential. Because from what we have found out, like the team that I've told you, when all of us are working together, I believe that the revenue of this state is going to hit to the south, to the north. So I believe that within a few weeks' time that we are going to unveil this plan for our people to know exactly what we are doing in that direction.
Let's get to health sector. State government pride herself paying medical bills for pregnant women, children day 1 to 5, and of course the aged. 4 billion 2020 budget. People are also complaining that is a drop in the ocean.
Yes, Sam. I want to thank His Excellency the Governor for what he has done in the health sector in Akwa Ibom State. Upon assumption of office, I think that sector witnessed the first intervention that he did. That's the annual hospital, which he completely renovated and even built a new ward. And apart from that, over the year, he has intervened in various hospitals. Etinan General Hospital, Equitaron, the one in Ikorokoro, the one in Ikono, and a lot of them. And we have quite a number of containers with medical equipment. So that was paid for in last year's budget. But as this hospital are renovated, these equipment are going to be deployed to improve the medical facilities that is available in the state. So the sum of 4 billion, for me, I believe, given what has been put on ground and what has been paid for, which is available there, that will be used to upgrade this hospital.
Why not do like federal government?
I think
you have 20 billion for computers, you still have 20 billion for computers. Yours last year for health was higher than what we have this year. I'm trying to see the level of management His Excellency has brought into governance. But the people seems not to understand. People believe that the money has to be, humongous. For instance,
Sam, that's why myself and you, we are here to explain to our people.
Okay.
To understand. You've just given an example, because if medical equipment has been imported and available on ground
and paid for,
and like this year, what you are going to be doing is to continue the renovation. Will you still have the same amount of money that you are going to import? I think this shows the level of transparency, and accountability of the government of this state under His Excellency Governor Ademi Mandra. Because if you have those, you've just given an example. I was listening to Channels TV this morning, and when the chairman of the Senate, House of Representatives Committee on Budget, was asking a question that he has seen provision for the purchase of computer. It was the same amount last year, and it was paid for. Does this computer, don't they, if you have a new computer and it gets spoiled,
Can't it be repaired?
Can't be repaired? Or if it is repaired, will it be at the same cost of buying a new one? And at the same, so I think it is our responsibility to explain to our people that that is the amount is sufficient given what has been put on ground, and that the plan of government to continue, because renovation will not cost the same amount as importation of medical equipment. So if the equipment has been imported already and paid for, therefore the provision that is made for renovation and other items should be, that's how a good leader, that's how you see a budget that is being prepared by a leader who has an open heart and he wants to do things properly.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, the state government is currently working on the, I think, has PPP, private partnership participation. Some are saying, why is government budgeting for industries? Why the budget for industries about 6 billion for it? Since you are on private partnership participation, you need to educate us. Why the budget for industry? Why commerce and industry, rather?
Industries will only go to places that you have infrastructure, you have a good environment, and that the ease of doing business is also there. So there are certain aspects of business that government, remember when we were here last time, myself and you, when the issue of Ibom came up, and the question was, why is government going to, and I said something. All over the world, there are certain areas of business that government will need to lead the way, okay? And then by the time people see that, yes, it's a viable business, people will come in with their investment and government will divest and go and do some other thing. I believe that there are certain basic things that is required to be done to attract industries to the state, and therefore the provision of an amount for industrialization is justified. For example, if you look at Vice President came here, one of the major requirements for an industry to strive is electricity. His Excellency has intervened by doing those things that is not the things that the state government is supposed to do, given the way Nigeria is structured. Building of power substations and power lines is the responsibility of the federal government. But the governor knows that it is the people of Akwa Ibom State that will benefit from any development that comes here. And if you have to wait for federal government to come and do those things, it may take a longer time. And he has decided to intervene. And this has attracted the number of industries that you have seen that are coming to Akwa Ibom State now to operate, giving employment opportunities to our people. That's stimulating our economy. And also paying taxes and getting themselves involved in corporate social responsibility. So I think that provision is appropriate, so that we will continue to do those things that will attract industries, and where there's need for government to start up and then allow the private sector to come in and government diversity, and it could be done.
Honorable Commissioner, people are saying that the benchmark of $305, is unrealistic. Some are saying that dollar is higher than that. I don't know. Is it a special way of getting that very amount? Because I can't get it. For instance, a few days ago, you exchange a dollar and know that it is almost 400. But the federal government said it is 305. naira per dollar. I don't know. Is there any special market for this?
Well,
Or is it only for, investors who are coming in? Or is it only for federal government or state government? People need to know, sir. Educate us in this direction.
you know, the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria, there's a policy and qualification depending on the kind of business that you do, that you enjoy that exchange rate if you go through the bidding process in the Central Bank of Nigeria. And you can imagine a situation where everything you need to do, in this country, there was a time people import sand to build. Meanwhile, you have sand in Nigeria. But you cannot pay for that. And the approved product, the approved services that will enjoy these services, that will enjoy that exchange rate. So, but if you are going to this, you have different market, you have the...
So if I go to Udi Street now, I cannot have 305.
That's because that's not the market. You can have 305 if your transaction qualifies and meets the requirement as approved by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Commissioner, I don't know Nigeria. I don't know if we are divided into two, but let me play it out of that and go on a short break. You get to see some text messages here. We open the phone lines. Make your contribution. Let's get to see how we can participate and move the 2020 budget to a logical success. I don't know if Solomon Ayo is ready with some messages at the social media, and then we'll begin to run that. But meanwhile, let me open the phone lines. You can reach us on the 090-222-31011 and be part of the show. You can also send us an SMS only on 080-3276-7729 and be part of the show. The Honorable Commissioner of Economic Development and Ibom Deep Seaport, His Excellency created that ministry for a purpose. And today, by all indication and what the Honorable Commissioner is saying, we are almost there. And I pray that there will not be element of politics that will derail the focus of Governor Doe Emmanuel's government in actualizing that within the life of his administration. Yes, I have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. I'm not sure there.
This is Comrade in the next country, Colombia.
Comrade, it's good to have you. The Honorable Commissioner is here.
State is part of the entity of Nigeria. So whatever happens at the center, everywhere, the nation is that is being led. That over time that we are going to get to a destination that where people every morning will have a place to go and work and earn a living, so that the issue of handout and dependency on government for everything will be reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay. Closing of our borders in Nigeria. I remember there was a time we banned the importation of rice when we did not have a rice farm in Nigeria. Even though we did, it was very minimal. I remember when His Excellency ventured into rice production, and we had the first ever Ibom rice. I don't know. Federal government is also closing borders. Don't you think this is affecting us?
I don't think, yes, the effect may be positive or negative. But I believe that for any society, any country to survive, you cannot be dependent on the importation of everything that you consume. Even there was a time in this country that even things such as a toothpick were imported into this country. But I have to thank God that His Excellency the Governor led the way by ensuring that such commodity that could be produced here that he ensure that is produced in our state. And there was a time that almost everything, rice, cucumber, everything, name it, nothing was produced in this state. But the government has put in place a mechanism, a conscious effort has been made, and through the Dakada philosophy, our people, there's a buy-in into that philosophy that we can do anything that we want to do.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, you have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Samson Apan.
Yes. Who am I speaking with? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Daddy, man. I'm calling from you. Good morning, all commissioner.
ID, good morning.
Yeah, thank you, all commissioner. I want to use the opportunity to tell the governor that as far as the issue of infrastructure is concerned, he has done well, and we want him to do more. I don't want him to concentrate in doing any other thing. Like every acquiring person, I want him to concentrate in the Ibom Seaport project. I believe if this government can decrease the Ibom Seaport for us, the future of Akwa Ibom and its citizens will be okay. We don't want. I'm not a proponent of government doing so much that you cannot complete. Just do the things that are viable. Make sure you decrease that for the people, and people will be happy. Then quickly, Ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said you don't know why people say that the streets are dry. As a street person, I want to tell you why we say that the streets are dry.
Okay.
Before now, there were some maybe commissioners, political appointees who were accessible. Let me ask you a question. Apart from Akan Okon, who is there if you go to his house, you get something, you enter. Then in the member, Sam Medium, Elijah Young, very few of them. Every other appointee of government that is taking money from the government, I know Governor Rum is a keeper, that is taking money, he's taking it away from the state. They are running away with the money to Lagos. Then, apart from those houses, those houses I've mentioned, tell me any other house that you go and see somebody at the gate waiting to see a commissioner or waiting to see a person in government. There are none. Those few people, that's why the people are saying that the streets are dry. We never had it like this before. Every other person that maybe commissioners and political appointees were resident in the state, and when they get money, maybe even at the end of the month, some of them will use their salary, and that people, we know there's poverty in the land. So that.
And the commissioner said it's not only the Akwa Ibom State, it's from the top.
What is it?
That this street, the dryness of the street is from the top. I went to Abuja, it's dry too. Lagos is dry, everywhere is dry.
Yeah, but at least whatever, if the commissioners here agree what you.
Oh, ID, we missed that. ID, you're having a dry street because you're fighting corruption. And so you better understand that. So no government appointee will throw money anymore because you just got to be careful. We have a caller there. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, please, can you walk away from where you're trying to call us? This is a very serious business. The whole world is listening to you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is James Akan calling from Abak.
Oh, James, how about you?
All right.
Okay.
Humble Commissioner, good morning.
Morning, James. How are you today?
Yes, good. I want to disagree a little from what you are saying.
Okay,
You
sir.
are a commissioner for finance, and also you know about budgeting for everything.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about pensioners. I know what the governor is doing very well about the pensioners that are retiring now, but I want to talk about the old pensioners, the grandfathers and grandmothers of the civil service like myself. We retired some 15 years, myself 18 years ago. Then we are still receiving the same pension we received, like myself. I retired in 2006, and my person, the next person who retired in 2007, is receiving 80,000, while I'm receiving 40,000 now. There's a provision in the Constitution that says that salary and pension should be revised every 5 years, whichever is area. I know the state and federal government, they trample civil the pensioners, they don't do this, they only do it for a salary on the civil servant. But there's also what we call the harmonization.
Okay, James, we are out of time. Let the commissioner answer you. While we take this call, I said, as I tell the Honorable Commissioner Akan Okon to visit his local government for his people, the Ward 1 to Ward 10, not smiling because of hunger. Blessing from me too. We love him. Okay. He said pension, they'll review. 5 years, need be reviewed. Just few seconds so that we wrap up.
Well, Sam, I want to say that Governor Dom Emmanuel, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, when it comes to issues of pensioners and civil servants, he treats it at a first line charge. It's on record that upon assumption of office, even pensions that were not paid for 10 years. I was the commissioner for finance then. Governor Dom Emmanuel paid gratuity that were not paid for 10 years. He cleared it.
Honorable Commissioner, 30 seconds. What would be your advice? What should we look for in this budget 2020?
Well, the budget for 2020, Christian budget of industrialization and poverty alleviation 2, is to continue to build on the foundation that has been laid in the first term of His Excellency Governor Dom Emmanuel. And I believe that by the implementation of this budget, that more employment opportunities. In the last 4 years, we have over 16 industries. A lot are going to come in, given the infrastructure that this government has put in place, and given the conducive business environment that is prevailing in the state, that our state stands to gain, a lot by the time this budget is implemented. The education sector, the agriculture, and every aspect of our state economy will feel the positive impact of this budget.
Okay, that's the size of the show, so that we go for news. This year's budget is 597.8 billion compared to last year of 672.9 billion. Commissioner says budget cannot repeat itself because what was provided for last year cannot be provided for again this year. That's the size of the show. We have this program a success. I want to thank the entire crew of the Honorable Commissioner, of course, Solomon Ayo. My name is Samson Akpan. Bye-bye.
Locked in core values. Planet 101.1 FM, Uyo.
Good morning. This is a news update at 11. Senate proposes 5-year sentence and 5 million naira fine for lecturers convicted for sexually harassing students. Meanwhile, senators express worry over viability of 2020 budget presented to National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari. Federal government plans visa on arrival policy for foreigners.